Hey Dream Chasers, it's JC. I've been thinking a lot about the best way to use my little platform to do some good. And while I recognize that more than anything, we need to be lifting up black voices and handing black people the mic, white people also need to be having uncomfortable conversations with other white people. To my black friends and followers, I love you. You matter so fucking much. Your life matters, your safety, your happiness. Black lives matter. To everyone else, especially white people, I love you too, but let's have a chat. And if your first reaction is, oh, well, JC doesn't mean me though, because I'm definitely not racist, then I especially mean you. So hold tight, strap in for this video, because we gotta talk. And by the way, I have mixed feelings about announcing this or making a big deal out of it, and donation kind of stuff in general, because it makes me feel like it's about myself and like I'm bragging but really I just want to be transparent, and remind people that allyship cannot be performative. It cannot just be a nice slogan, or a retweet and then that's it. You have to really show up for people, and one way you can do that is to donate to organizations that help. Black people's lives are worth so much more, and this is the least we can do. So to that point, I wanted to let you know that I'm donating all of the AdSense revenue that I earned through YouTube ads for the month of June, to two Black-led LGBTQ plus organizations. One is the Okra Project, which feeds Black trans people, and the other is the Black AIDS Institute. There's links to both of those in the description. If you can afford to donate, please do. If not, there's more links in the description to other ways you can help that are free. They don't cost you anything. And it's stuff you can do today, so definitely check those out. Okay, so if you're someone who thinks of yourself as not racist, let's start there. Not being racist isn't the opposite of being racist. That's like saying indifference is the opposite of hate. Our job isn't to simply be indifferent to racism, but to be actively anti-racist. And making your profile pic a black square is fine, but it's not enough. For more on the concept of anti-racism, I highly recommend reading or listening to the audiobook How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. I already considered myself to be anti-racist, but oh man, did that book open my eyes to a lot more shit. And make sure you buy it from a black-owned bookstore and not a huge mega corporation who doesn't care if people live or die, thanks. Links in the description. Seriously, start there. If you can't afford to buy a book right now, you can request it from your local library. A lot of libraries also offer digital and audiobooks. The author also has a lot of great resources on his website, which are free. There's a link to that in the description. Also, Google is free. Start learning about systemic racism. Start learning about subconscious biases. Learn what microaggressions are and how constant abuse and mistreatment as the background noise of your life can be incredibly damaging. And look, if you've done that reading before, great. Keep doing it. There's always more to learn. I considered myself pretty informed and knew about a lot of these concepts, and I've already learned so much even in the past week alone. You can't skim the footnotes on centuries of oppression. Keep reading. So, on the topic of being anti-racist, I want to address some of my fellow Twitch streamers. Some of this stuff might apply to other situations, pretty much any community or group setting, but mostly I'm going to be focusing on streaming. I think there's been a lot of hand-wringing about not wanting to be too political on your platform, and I kind of get it. People come to streams to escape life, and as streamers we say stuff like, my community's chill, it's a safe space. But safe for who? Marginalized people will tell you that having a no politics rule is naive at best, and dangerously perpetuating bigotry at worst. When I started streaming, I was actually kind of nervous about getting targeted for harassment, because I'm queer and I'm opinionated, and some people have a problem with that. So I thought, well, I better tone it down with all the political stuff. But I started to notice a huge problem with that. Fairly mundane things about me and my friends' lives were considered political. So not being political meant not being able to vent, or in some cases, express joy. And it really clicked for me when one of my best friends that I met through Twitch streams said, well, I'm a black gay trans man. My whole existence is political. How do you stay non-political when people view your very existence as political? Spoiler, you can't. So I started to view the no politics rule as a dog whistle for, I don't want to think about the fact that people different than me exist. And that might sound extreme to you, but literally think about every time you've seen a complaint about a video game being, quote, too political. They're never criticizing the game about being about war or justice, but for having a gay character or people of color in it. They're literally complaining about the existence of people who aren't white and straight. Sit with that for a minute. Is that the vibe you really want for your streams? I've been told by a few people the reason that they had a no politics policy isn't to deter trans people or people of color from joining their streams, of course, but to keep people from coming in being like, build the wall and, garbage like that. But as someone who's looking for safe communities to be in, no politics is the first of many little red flags that I look out for. Because it's just as likely that someone will say no politics to mean that they don't want people to be able to talk about their own rights. So back to my friend. One time during a stream, he talked about not being able to vote because he's trans and he didn't have an updated ID. And I was so furious that that happened to him. Everyone should have the right to vote. But instead of empathizing, someone else in my chat started citing these bogus Fox News bullshit made-up statistics about how voter fraud is real and that's the price we pay and blah, blah, blah. And in the moment, I'm streaming art, so I'm not going to stop and go Google stuff and prove him wrong, even though I knew in my gut what they were saying was wrong. So what do I say? Okay, well, I don't think that's true, but maybe let's just drop this. I'm sorry that happened to you, though. My gut still twists over that day. I ended up DMing the person who brought up the fake voter fraud stuff to say it wasn't cool and it wasn't empathetic to dismiss someone who was talking about something horrible they experienced like that, and that wasn't the right time to bring it up. And, this person sharing their pain and about having their rights denied, and that's just not the time to chime in with like, well, it's good that your rights were denied. But what I did wasn't cool either. I silenced someone sharing a real experience in their life because I didn't feel like dealing with that. And that's what saying this stream isn't political accomplishes. A person talking about their lived experience gets silenced because someone else chimes in to argue with them so they can perpetuate these harmful ideologies. And in the name of peacekeeping, I finished the job? I silenced them once and for all, laying down the law of the stream as we're not going to be political here? I'm ashamed of that. And we should all be ashamed of that. The no politics policy is so common on Twitch streams. You see it all the time. And people think it's helping us maintain chill vibes, when in reality, it's perpetuating bigotry. Because you can't fight racism with passive non-racism. You can't tell people that they need to peacefully protest and change the hearts and minds through conversations, and then turn around and cut off those conversations before they start. And for what? Because those conversations are uncomfortable for us or they're bad for our brand? We have to step up and create spaces that are actively anti-racist. And you don't do that with a no politics rule. Now, I'm not saying to just start letting people argue and debate in your chat and have it all turn into these heated arguments. I'm also not saying to place the responsibility on your marginalized community members to educate everyone. But I do think we need to change our approach so that it shuts down the bigots while still giving a voice to marginalized people. Instead of, we don't get political here, I started to say, we don't debate people's rights here. That small change in wording makes a huge difference. So if someone comes into your chat with some all lives matter shit, here's something you can say. Black lives matter. If you truly believe that all lives matter, that includes black lives. There's enough information out there at this point that you can educate yourself, but my stream is not the place to work through this, and it's not our job to educate you. And the key difference between this response and the, hey guys, let's not get political, is that you shut down the oppressive attitude and you still give black people room to be heard in your chat. And part of being able to do that effectively in more situations requires that you be informed. And that's part of your job as a community manager, is to understand the issues that affect your community, especially the most vulnerable people in your community, and to know how to support them. Arm yourself with information. And then when someone comes in with some other facts that sound like bullshit to you, you can call them on their bullshit. But in cases where you actually don't know, it's fair to admit that. Just make sure that doing so doesn't cut off a marginalized person's ability to defend themselves. So if you have a platform, I really urge you to replace your no politics rule with a no debating people's rights rule. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, since this is an art channel, is drawing black people. A lot of white artists get nervous about messing this up, which, you know what? That says to me that you're aware of the fact that there's this huge history of racist caricatures and stereotypes in art, and that your intention is not to hurt anyone. And okay, cool. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn how to draw black people. Like, if you're a portrait artist, but you couldn't take a commission from a black neighbor, that sucks, bud. It's time to learn. And the best way to learn? Follow as many black artists as you can. Study their work. Color pick from skin tones. Pay attention to what kind of colors they use and highlights and shadows. Watch black artists on YouTube and Twitch and pay attention to their process. Now, don't barge in and demand that they teach you for free. Watch them and learn. And if they offer classes or paid tutorials, awesome. Sign up for those. And most importantly, subscribe to them on Twitch. Sign up for their Patreon or buy a print from them. Pay them. If you want to find black artists to follow, there are tons under the hashtag #DrawingWhileBlack. I'm also going to list some artists who are on Twitch and YouTube so you can watch their process. I'm also going to link to some tutorials by black artists on how to draw black hairstyles and skin tones. And please, if you're following a lot more black artists right now, that's awesome, but do not just follow them and never engage with their work again. That can actually do more harm than good, because if the algorithm sees that someone has a lot of follows, but not a lot of shares and comments, likes, or other engagement, the algorithm is assuming the content is bad. So you gotta follow black creators that you really enjoy and really support their work. And let's all commit to following and supporting black artists always. Right now, it feels good to drop some follows. You feel like you're showing solidarity, but don't let it be a trend. Black people deserve our love and support always, and to thrive, not just when it's convenient or we feel guilty. After the protests died down and the hashtag stopped trending, bring even more energy you had for sharing black people's pain to sharing their joy and accomplishments. Another thing I want to talk about is having those hard conversations with other white people. No one likes being called out for racist behavior, so it's pretty much always going to be met with defensiveness and denial. And it's really frustrating to try to reach people who don't really want to hear it. It can feel like you're never going to get through to someone, no matter how many statistics you throw at them or how many stories you share. But I want to tell you, do it anyway. I'm not going to tell you the right or the wrong way to debate someone or educate someone, because honestly, I'm not an expert on this. But I can tell you that I've seen people change firsthand, and it doesn't happen overnight. People need time to let new ideas sink in, and you can't just overwhelm them all at once. It's going to take a lot of conversations, so keep trying. Just keep in mind that it's going to be a lot more effective to say something like, "Let me know when you're ready to talk more about this with me," than to try to force them to change. A while back, I called someone out that I worked with who was planning to use diversity in their marketing efforts, but they didn't actually have a diverse team working for them. And they got super defensive and argued with me, which I kind of expected. They also got called out by other people and realized they had to make some changes. Recently, they admitted they were wrong and that they've spent the last year following Black and Indigenous activists and supporting Black and Indigenous businesses. They admitted that they were defensive before and had a lot to learn. And they said they realized that they thought they were a good person because they weren't racist, but they realized that wasn't enough. They had to be anti-racist. And more people are coming to that conclusion. Hell, I heard the same sentiment from white hooligan YouTubers recently. And that gives me hope. The message is getting through to people. Even if it takes a long time, it's happening. So keep trying, keep having those conversations. Don't give up on people. Because if we give up on reaching ignorant people, we're also giving up on the people harmed by their ignorance. Let's stop putting that entire burden on marginalized people. There are all these phrases floating around like, "be the change" and "I stand with you." And those are great messages. So let's actually do those things. Let's actually be the change. We gotta do more than change our profile pics to a black square and buy one mask from one black-owned Etsy shop and call it a day. We have to commit to doing anti-racist work for the rest of our lives. You know, living in New York City, Amy Cooper, the white lady in Central Park who threatened a black man who dared to ask her to leash her dog. You know she has at least one super embarrassed white liberal coworker or cousin or something right now. And the weird part is, they might have assumed that she wasn't like that if they never had a conversation with her about racism. They might have just assumed, well, we live in New York and I've never seen her be racist, so of course she's not. but we can't assume that because we've never seen someone be racist that they're not. So please, let's have these conversations. Do not let the Amy Coopers of your life off the hook. And finally, I want to urge everyone to do the following. 1, check out the very first link in the description, find the petition section, and fill out all of those petitions. It's going to take you like 2 minutes, and it's really the least you can do. So do that right now. Number 2, if you can donate to some bail bonds organizations, mutual aid funds, Black-led LGBTQ plus groups. Figure out your budget and make it recurring. 3, reach out to your employer and find out if they match donations. That's double your donating power. That's amazing. 4, if you can't donate, there's a link to a video where all of the AdSense money is being donated to Black Lives Matter charities. It had millions of views so far. It's working. It's raising thousands of dollars. So go check that out. Watch it a bunch of times because it's great. It has a bunch of Black musicians and artists. It's a very cool video. There's a bunch of videos like that, but I really enjoyed that one, and trust that one is actually going to charity. Number 5, read some books about racism by Black authors and buy them from Black-owned bookstores. Number 6, if you're white especially, talk to your friends and family. Don't be discouraged if they're resistant to new ideas right now. Keep trying. And number 7, follow and support Black creators now and always. By the way, in case you didn't know, Pride is canceled this year. It is now Gay Wrath Month, and this artwork was inspired by Doeantlers on Twitter. They did this really rad piece that I think captures the spirit of Wrath Month so well, and I wanted to make something as kind of a tribute to that, and so that's what this piece is. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe, stay hydrated, and chase your dreams. Peace.